the garden, God provided fruits and grains and herbs so pure, seed-bearing gifts for every taste.
Fam, guess what we're gonna do today? We're gonna make bread. That's right, bread. We got butter. We need bread. So, we're gonna make bread in a bread maker this time. And then another time we'll come back and make bread in the oven. I love this little recipe because it is so simple and easy. And yeah, let's get to it. So I have 2 cups of water here. That's all that's there. I'm using the measuring stuff from the bread maker. For those of you all who already have bread makers, and who use and make bread in their bread makers, forgive me for saying some things that are like overly simplified or that you already know. Just forgive me in advance, okay? So I'm using the one that comes with because that's what they ask you to do, so I am. So I'm using 2 teaspoons of salt to add to my 2 cups of water. And then it calls for 1/3 of a cup of applesauce. And this little thing is the perfect amount. I use it every time I make bread in the bread maker. It's so simple and easy. I don't have to do anything but open, squeeze, toss. Yay! So that's that. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about bread, right? So I ran across a minister that I love. He's deceased, but he was an awesome minister and evangelist. His name was C.D. Brooks. And this particular sermon, he was titled The Staff of Life. He was doing an analogy saying, of course, that Jesus is the staff of life spiritually, but that bread is the staff of life in a physical sense. So he's talking about the fact that there were some cardiologists who went to school, got out of school in the early 1900s and had never heard of, never studied, didn't know anything about what is called a coronary thrombosis. Now, to break it down in the most simplest form, what is that? Coronary, heart arteries, thrombosis means a clot. So heart clots, okay? Just for simplicity. And so they had never studied them because they were virtually unknown. They didn't know anything about it. It was no biggie deal, right? You know what? I think I want to add a tad bit more of sugar. Give me a second. I love the bread in the bread maker, but I always think that it needs a little something, and I just thought of it. I think it's sugar, so I'm just going to put 2 teaspoons of sugar in it. Anyway, so they had never studied or knew anything about these coronary thrombosis. And as the 1900s progressed, especially into 30s and 40s, people started dying more and more of what they called coronary thrombosis at the time. So, of course, research they went into research to find out what is this, why is this, you know, what's happening. Well, turns out in 1910, they changed the way that they processed wheat. to make flour. They decided to remove the wheat germ. Now, some people call the wheat germ the very heart of the, get it, heart of the wheat kernel. And so when they started milling flour, they started removing that. Hold on a second. Kind of ironic that removing the heart of the wheat would cause heart problems, don't you think? Anyway, I have here 4 cups of flour. And when you're putting things in the bread maker, they like you to put it in a specific order. So now I'm going to add 4 cups of flour. And I sifted mine. Now, I have made the bread without sifting it, and I have made the bread with it being sifted. I prefer the sifted one. Personal, do you. Anyway, so they found that removing the kernel caused problems, the wheat germ out of the kernel, because when you do that, you remove fiber, you remove flavonoids and phytonutrients and things that make the plant healthy and better for you. But you also removed vitamin E. Now, what's so special about vitamin E? Vitamin E is a clot inhibitor. Go figure. So yeah, they removed the clot inhibitor and people started dying of clots in their hearts. Again, this is the very simplistic version. Why am I telling you this? Because as a result, I add wheat germ to my my bread. I had the package. It's a Bob's Red Meal package, but anyway, I don't have a specific amount. I kind of just eyeball it, but I add wheat germ to when I make bread. It's a personal thing. You don't have to. I also add flaxseed and chia seeds that I grind before. And when I grind this much, I stick it in the refrigerator because obviously I don't want to lose the value of it. But I add that to my bread as well. Flaxseed, of course, is great for helping to reduce cholesterol. Chia seeds help and to give you omegas. Chia seeds help to balance the omega-3 and omega-6 so that it's not out of balance and your body can actually use it more effectively. Interestingly enough, T. Colin Campbell uses the phrase symphony. He was like, the reason I'm saying this part is because, you know, you could think, oh, well, I could just take some vitamin E. But you can just take vitamin E. But when you just take the vitamin E, you don't get the fiber, the phytonutrients, the flavonoids, the other positive things that come with the wheat germ that would naturally have been in the whole plant. Obviously, whole food plant-based cooking. Okay, so T. Colin Campbell calls it a symphony. He was like, our bodies are not individual parts or individual nutrients. They are interwoven and they play a symphony, a song of good health. He didn't say that part, but that's what I think of when he says symphony. A song of health. Anyway, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of vital wheat gluten. And I'm just spreading it out. So it's interesting though, because Dr. Terry Mason, now Terry Mason is a big deal because he is one of the few public health officials in you know, in the United States, who advocates for a whole food, plant-based diet. And he's a big deal. He used to be, and I don't know, he might still be, the chief medical officer of the Cook County health systems. But before he was that, he was the Cook County health advisor, or anyway, Cook County is the largest county in Illinois. It's where Chicago is, and they service about 5 million people. So when he starts talking about stuff, he knows what he's talking about. Anyway, he says that if you have cardiovascular issues, it's not just your heart. He says if you have a vascular problem, it's throughout your whole body. It's not one place. It's not just in your brain if you have a stroke. It's not just in your leg if you have a DVT. You have it throughout your body. He said, hold on for this, you might want to sit down. He said that when you have cardiovascular issues, it's throughout the whole body. And for men, it is the canary in the coal mine. He said that the penis has a significant amount of epithelial cells. And the epithelial cells, which are also found in your heart, are the cells that allow the penis to store and hold the blood to allow the man to maintain an erection. So if you cannot maintain an erection, or you're having difficulty with it, you are barking up the tree to a heart attack or a heart clot. You know, call it what you want. Anyway, he also said that it's not head knowledge that makes people change. He was like, you can know whatever you know. He didn't say it that way, but he said it's as much a spiritual issue as it is a physical issue. He said, because I'm using 1.5 teaspoons, and I'm just going to make a little divot and pour it in there. That was one. He says, because unless you believe that the thing that you're doing is hurtful to you, you're not going to stop doing it. And unless you believe that the thing you're changing to is actually going to help you, then you're not going to change. He said it is as much spiritual as it is knowledge. You really have to believe it. And that is where people drop the ball. They don't have the conviction to be able to acknowledge, admit, and go forward with the understanding that this change is actually going to make me sing the song of good health. Again, me paraphrasing. But you get the idea. So once I have all of this stuff in here, I take it and I put it in the bread maker. And I set the bread maker for the whole wheat setting. On my bread maker, it's 3. I set the color. You can decide what you want. I make it medium, like me. And I set the weight for 1.5 pounds, because I think there's 1, 1.5, and 2. I'm a middle child, so I tend to do middle things. Like, really, truly. But anyway, that's a sidebar. Anyway, so I'm going to stick this in the bread maker, and I'm going to let it cook for, my machine is going to tell me about 4 hours, a little more. And I will show you the result. See you in a bit. So, here I have the loaf of bread. I sliced it, toasted it, added some avocado butter. Butter baby. Check out the butter baby video. And added some avocados, tomatoes, some sliced up cilantro and basil, fresh, and a little salt. Make the flavor pop. And yeah, you can do this. Make a mess and enjoy it. See you next time.